Hello YouTube, my name is Nero, and today we have some Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, and over the past couple of weeks, we've talked a lot about supply drops here in Modern Warfare Remastered, and good or bad, they are certainly a part of the game, and they are certainly lining the pockets of Raven Software as well as Activision. This means, in theory, both of these entities have more resources now to potentially add more content to the game. And a lot of people may be thinking, well, maybe more supply drop content? No, I want actual fun, good content to come to the game as a result of microtransactions. Like, a lot of games these days have microtransactions in them, right? But also a lot of these games decide to take some of the profits they get from microtransactions and they put it back into their game to make their game even better, to try and get more people to continue playing their game. This is something we don't see in Call of Duty, right? Special events, timed exclusive content. Aside from the occasional double XP weekend, like, what sort of special events do we really see in the Call of Duty franchise? It'd be cool if we had a lot more of them, because that would, again, incentivize people to log in, play the game, and thus perhaps spend more money, as well as maybe become more invested in playing the game long term. Recently, we saw the Winter Crash event right here in Modern Warfare Remastered, and I think Infinite Warfare had a similar event with, I want to say Genesis is the name of the map. It's basically like the remake of Strike Zone from Ghost. I think it'd be cool if we were to get more map events similar to that, where during these events, we get a special map where it's like a really dolled up fancy version of an already existing map. Give that map its own playlist, give us double XP while playing in that playlist, and give us challenges to do, and if we complete them within a certain period of time, we get timed exclusive content, like special camos, special weapon kits that are exclusive to that event, special titles or emblems or characters or what have you, like the whole nine, right? The theory has always been that the art team for a development studio does not have a lot to do during this period of the year, right? During this time where they're kind of like waiting for DLC to come out and the game is already launched, like the art team isn't really doing a whole lot. Therefore, they're put to work making camos and titles and emblems and stuff like that to put in supply drops. That way, they're actually doing something and the studio is profiting. Well, how about instead of dedicating the entire art team to working on titles and emblems and supply drops and stuff like that, we get a couple of them working on making maps even cooler by changing them around aesthetically, similar to what we saw with Winter Crash. I've come up with a few ideas I would like to run past you guys. I also discussed this on Twitter, and I got some of you guys' feedback, and I'm going to be featuring some of my favorite suggestions here in this video. So my favorite personal idea is going to be Caribbean wet work. Like, for some reason, I think it's because I recently played this custom zombies map in Black Ops 3 that was hijacked, and now I have this idea that we should have a new boat map for multiplayer. I have no idea, but Caribbean wet work sounds freaking amazing to me, right? So you take wet work, which is like a cargo ship in the middle of the ocean in the middle of a storm, and you take that, you put it in the Caribbean, make it sunset, make it so you got like crystal blue waters everywhere, you have islands off in the distance, you change around the boat aesthetically, not its actual layout, but aesthetically you change the map to make it brighter, funner, that's not even a word, but make it more fun, right? Make it so it's like, I don't know, some sort of like an island party on the boat itself. Like, make it a lighthearted version of wet work. That sounds freaking awesome to me. Like, basically picture the background scenery of Hijacked and then put that on wet work, and of course make wet work, the boat itself, look a little bit better, make it look maybe more shiny or pristiner, like it's not in the middle of a storm in the middle of the ocean or anything like that. Another idea would be Shipment Arena. Now, this goes back to something I made way back in the day in Halo Reach. Like, this is so old, it predated my YouTube channel, but I made a map in Forge World in Halo Reach, and it was a Shipment Arena. So basically, picture Shipment, right? But picture it super futuristic. And I know you guys hate that idea, futuristic, but picture it like it's an arena. It's not similar at all to Showtime and Call of Duty Ghosts, where there are walls, there are things hanging from the ceiling, there's red and blue neon lights everywhere, maybe smoke up in the ceiling and stuff like that. Like, make it like basically you make it just like this futuristic looking arena. I think that would be really cool for the map itself. Like Tron almost. Like, just have a bunch of neon stuff throughout the crates. I think that would be an interesting idea, like an 80s futurist, like an 80s version of a futuristic theme. I think that's what I want for a Shipment Arena. Another idea would be Halloween Overgrown. It goes back to this old ad that Infinity Ward did way back in the day, leading up until the launch of Call of Duty 4, where they released this video. It just as a kind of like a thing to build up hype for the game. It didn't really have anything to do with the game, but, you know, it was kind of a creepy looking idea. Like, you have this jack-o'-lantern guy, and Overgrown itself has a bunch of jack-o'-lanterns all throughout it. I think a Halloween-themed version of Overgrown would be pretty freaking cool. How about a tropical version of Backlot. Backlot's definitely a fan favorite, and Raven Software, who made Modern Warfare Remastered, they also work on Call of Duty Online, the free-to-play Chinese-only best-of Call of Duty game. And in that game, you have maps like Estate, you have maps like, I think, Crash, and maybe even Favela that they have revamped to become tropical maps. I think that'd be cool if we had tropical Backlot. Like, instead of it being like this Middle Eastern town, why not make it so it's like in the jungle and make it so it's like completely overgrown and stuff like that? That sounds like a really cool concept for a map. A World War II version of Pipeline. I am so stuck on a World War II version of Pipeline because to me it looks like it already has some World War II vibes to it, probably because it's just like a Russian factory, but I think it'd be really cool if they were to give it a full-on World War II vibe, like change the outside of the map to make it look like we're in Stalingrad, right? Make it so you have a bunch of like anti-Nazi propaganda, maybe change up the turret to either be like a Russian LMG like the DP-28 we saw in World at War, or maybe change it to like the MG-42. Just basically put a bunch of World War II stuff into the map. That sounds freaking awesome to me. Winter Bog, I think, would be very, very cool. Like, normally Bog itself is this junk-filled field in the Middle East. Well, why not make it so it's daytime, bright, beautiful, and snowy, and holiday-themed, maybe have some holiday lights, or just make it snowy, like make it like it's set in, I don't know, Colorado or something like that instead, and have a bunch of mountains in the background. That sounds freaking awesome. What about an Americanized version of Vacant, right? Because Vacant itself is a Russian office building that for some reason has like shipping containers and stuff like that outside of it, I suppose. So why not make it so that's in America, right? Make it an American office in an American city. That would obviously change up just about everything, from the lighting to the colors to the stuff that's on the desks to just basically the entire map itself. Like, again, same layout, but change the appearance of it, make it a special event map. Now, once again, I asked this question to you guys on Twitter. I wanted to know what suggestions you guys may have for special events coming to Modern Warfare Remastered, and here are a few of my favorites. So Kofi suggested daytime wet work. Again, just daytime wet work sounds amazing. Like, not raining, make it daytime, make it bright, make it colorful. That sounds very good. Dallas suggested a spooky version of Overgrown or Downpour. That sounds pretty freaking awesome. Wildcat suggested Valentine's Day Backlot. I like the idea, but honestly though, what do you do to make it Valentine's Day-y? Do we make it pink? Do we have a bunch of hearts and stuff like that hanging from the ceiling like it used to be back in your elementary school back in the day? Like, I don't know how we make it Valentine's Day Backlot, but I like the idea. Grizzly suggested Daytime Bog. Again, very good idea, just like in the campaign. Daytime Bog sounds freaking awesome. Specs suggested a 4th of July themed ambush, and I really like this idea. Like, make it super patriotic, fireworks and all. That sounds really cool. Jacob suggests a desert themed Vacant. I like it. Make it set out in the desert rather than just being like a Russian city, and maybe even make the building itself somehow be like, I don't know, like an old ruin or something like that, like in the desert. That sounds interesting. And my personal favorite, Sam suggests that we get good downpour. As opposed to the regular downpour, we have good downpour, which I don't know what they can do to make that map good, but they can give us good downpour. It sounds pretty awesome. Overall, a lot of suggestions from you guys came in to take nighttime maps and make them day, take daytime maps and make them night, and overall just have a bunch of holiday-themed skins to maps. And I think that would be a really cool idea. I hope that they do this in the Call of Duty franchise going forward. Like, I've kind of gotten over the idea of dynamic weather and day-night cycles in Call of Duty because they don't seem to care. Like, I've been suggesting that for freaking half a decade at this point. I want dynamic weather in Call of Duty maps. I want day and night cycles. I think that'd be so freaking cool. But even if they don't want to do that, at the very least, like, I don't think it'd be that hard for them to give us, like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 of these map events throughout the year, and at the very end of the year, give us a giant playlist which will feature all of the event maps in one playlist. Like, that sounds so freaking cool. It's such a good idea for the Call of Duty series. Like, if it really just comes down to some people on the art team working to revamp some of these maps, I think that time is much better spent doing that as compared to making more camos and more stuff for supply drops, right? Just do this, more people will play your game, it's going to become a thing. Like, we can expect it, like, this big event's going to be coming, they're going to be changing up this map, there's going to be special stuff associated with it. Like, there's all these things they could do that would get people playing their game again, and they could make their money, believe it or not, guys, off of people buying their game and playing their game, rather than just, you know, hoping that people just buy supply drops and stuff, right? So those are my thoughts, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that down there in the comment section below. I really hope that we get something like this in the future, and maybe we will. I mean, the entire Winter Crash event kind of came out of left field for us. Like, we did not see that coming. Well, we kind of hoped it was coming, but we didn't know, like, the entire event was going to be built up around it. So hopefully they do stuff like this in the future. I would love to hear more suggestions from you guys down there in the comment section below, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.